Smarter Mobility Africa Summit showcases latest startups in the mobility industry. Founder and chairman of Smarter Mobility Africa, Ben Pullen, is on the line with us. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for coming through to talk to us. Just tell us a little bit about Smarter Mobility Africa. What do you guys do?
So Smarter Mobility Africa runs a series of events and activities across the year, all around how do we improve the way that we move people and goods across the country. So all things from public transport, minibus taxis, rail, electric vehicles, walking, cycling. It covers the whole spectrum, but really trying to tackle some of those challenges that we see in the transport industry.
And why is there, Ben, a need for such a summit in Africa?
Oh, the list is so long. I hope we can cover some of it in our call today. But I guess if I start from looking at it from everyday life for people and how transport can affect them. So many people have woken up in the last few hours to get to work and will travel for 2, 3, 4 hours and spend a huge amount of their income just on traveling to work. So there's a need to try and improve transport on that level. Then we look at things like those that are lucky enough to have access to a car, private car ownership, challenge with things like congestion, and then there's rising costs and prices. And then those that are driving those vehicles are obviously contributing towards air pollution, which isn't good for our public health. And then there's the carbon emissions that come from the use of cars, so petrol and diesel vehicles. And then looking at it from an economic level, oil is the largest import for South Africa. And so you think of all that money leaving the country just to purchase oil, which we then go and burn in vehicles. So there's a number of reasons why this is such an important topic, and it's why there is a whole month dedicated to transport, which is the South African October Transport Month, which is hosted by all the different governments across the country. So there are many reasons as to why we need to look at this, many problems you could say. But the great thing is there are so many solutions, many of which have come about in the last 5 to 10 years because of the rise of mobiles and apps, technology and software. So there's lots of innovation. And if you look at many of the transport companies that we see today that are successful, many of those have come from the last few years that have been startups. That's why there's a big focus from us on supporting startups so that they can develop within Africa to solve those local problems, but also to create successful businesses along the way.
And I mean, what does the current smarter mobility landscape in Africa look like at the moment, Ben?
It depends where you go. So, for example, if you look at East Africa, there's been a huge increase of electric two-wheelers and three-wheelers. So actually the focus is on smaller vehicles and how to make the cost of moving around with those vehicles a lot cheaper. And then there are different apps and softwares that are helping to coordinate mobility within East Africa. So whether that's on the delivery landscape, whether that's on taxis, border taxis, and moving people around. And then if we look in South Africa, we have fantastic infrastructure that's already there. There is rail infrastructure everywhere. There are fantastic highways. And I think it's just about how do we better use that infrastructure that exists. World-class highways and roads in South Africa, really, really good rail infrastructure. How do we better use it? How do we integrate it so that it integrates better with minibus taxis and hailing and buses? So it's exciting. There's a lot to do, but there's already a lot of really good stuff happening. And if we look at the Department of Transport, they unveiled and started to deliver the first of 100 new metro rail trains that are being used. So I've been seeing lots of those around, which is very exciting. Very fresh, clean-looking, modern rail, so that it improves the experience for those getting around.
So I mean, so when you look at this and looking at the importance then of smart mobility solutions, do we have those solutions? And is there why summits like this are important to create spaces for entrepreneurs, to to at least come up with ideas and solutions to improve where we are lacking?
That's a great question. And I'm happy to say there's already a lot of fantastic solutions coming from South Africa and across Africa. So if I think of a few names that come to the top of my head, you have companies like Green Scooter that's been developing small four-wheeled electric vehicles for the use in delivery and logistics. From the Gauteng province, you have Mellow Cabs that have been developing three-wheeled electric vehicles that are being used in delivery. You have companies now that are building electric minibus taxis. So this is looking very much on the electric vehicle side. Then you have multinational corporations who are really interested to support and expand the rail infrastructure here. So looking at things like trams and how to integrate trams with new, with some of the new infrastructure like the Gautrain that we see. So there are great solutions that already exist, which is fantastic. And there are so many more coming up. So if you look at Uber and Bolt, for example, just two global companies that obviously we're all very familiar with, just over 10 years ago, these were startups. They were ideas that someone had. They worked hard, developed app, tech work, software and the infrastructure, and now they're sort of household names. And there are lots of these solutions that, and we're seeing them because we've run the event for 4 years now. So companies that we saw 4 years ago that was just kind of, a couple of people with an idea have now started to build that idea, scale it across different parts of Africa, raise millions and millions of dollars so that they can keep scaling. So it's really exciting to see that happen, and it will only grow from here.
And just finally, quickly, Ben, so for those who want to find a little bit more about the summit, where and how can one find information about speakers and maybe getting involved?
So online, if you just Google Smarter Mobility Africa, you'll find our website and social media pages. And then the event is on the 5th to the 7th of October. It's at the CSIR ICC in Tshwane. So please come and join us. There are free visitor passes if you want to come and check out the exhibition. And then there are conference passes as well if you want to come and engage with the content and network with the different stakeholders. So it's really exciting. MEC Jacob Amabola is delivering the welcome address on day one. So he's the MEC of Transport in Gauteng. Minister Dalian from the Western Cape, Minister of Mobility, will also be joining. So we're going to hear some great insights from the government level, from the private sector level, and then there are lots of startups that will be demonstrating their solutions to spark ideas and to see how we can move things forward.
Fantastic, Ben. We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much. That is Ben Pullen, founder and chairman of Smarter Mobility Africa, talking to us about the SMH Summit, which will take place at the CSIR International Convention Center in Pretoria from the 5th to the 7th of October. It's just gone 5:30. Let's get the latest news headlines.